want to read more, either for classes or just for entertainment, or you just think it would be badass to be well-read and just know a ton of books. Well, I'm going to give you guys a couple tricks that I use to just get myself to read more, and especially when I was getting started in reading after I hadn't done it for a while, how I sort of got myself back into it and sort of regained that passion for reading. My first tip is to never ever read books you don't like just because you think you should. A lot of people think that there's sort of a list of books they have to get through so they can be considered well-read, whether it's the classics or Dostoevsky or any of this really difficult literature. They think that they have to read it because that'll make them well-read and people will respect them more, and it's just good to read those books, period. But if you don't enjoy a book, there's no sense in reading it, because the more you dislike a book you're reading, the harder it's going to be for you to actually stick to it and finish, and you're going to end up flip-flopping from book to book without really getting anywhere. So it's not useful to read things you don't like. Only read books you enjoy. And it doesn't matter what you enjoy. You know, you can enjoy something super niche. Maybe you only enjoy books about fish. Fine, only read books about fish. But never force yourself to read something you don't like, because it's going to take way longer to get through and you're going to have a way worse time doing it. And my second tip is that if you want to read more, find little bits of time in your day when you're not doing anything else and just read instead of doing something else. So we have a lot of time in our days where we're just doing absolutely nothing, and we think, you know what, I got some free time, I'll just go on my phone and scroll some Instagram. But if you really want to get more into reading, we can use these little pockets of time to just read a little bit more. And we don't realize how much of these little pockets of time we actually have in our day. If you actually just sit back and look at, okay, when do I have this free time? When am I actually not doing anything? You'll realize there's a lot more time in your day than you think, that you're just doing absolutely nothing. And we can utilize that time to just get a little bit of reading done. It's not too difficult. Just bring a book with you where you're going, and just a couple pages here and there. It really adds up over time. For me personally, I have to take the train back and forth a lot for my job. So whenever I'm on the train, I just pull out a book and do a little bit of reading, because what else am I going to do? Just scroll Instagram, waste some time? I could listen to music anyway. I might as well do it while reading something as well. So just find these little pockets of time and use them to just get further in whatever books you're reading. And my third tip, that I don't know if too many people would agree with this, because I've actually seen the opposite advice a lot, but my third piece of advice is to only read one book at a time. A lot of people like to just start multiple books at once, and when they get bored of one, they sort of hop from one to the next and sort of go back and forth between each other just when they're bored. And I think this can be a little bit daunting, especially if you're just getting into reading after taking a break, or if you're getting into reading for the first time. I think having multiple books that you started all at once and just trying to remember, what you've learned from each one, where you are, what's going on in the stories or whatever else, I think that's a lot more intimidating than just having one book at a time. And if you notice that you are reading one book and you constantly feel the need to hop to another book because you're bored of it, it might just be a sign that you're reading the wrong book. When I pick up a book, if I really enjoy it, I can speed through it in a day or two. If I'm reading a book and I constantly feel the need to switch it out with another book and sort of come back to it every now and then, it might just be a sign that I'm not reading the right book and that I'm just not very interested in it. And my final tip for if you're trying to get back into reading after a while, or if you're really new to reading, is that you should always start with short books. If you haven't read in a while and you jump right into one of these huge 600-page Russian literature books, you're just going to get really confused and really tired and really annoyed, and you're probably going to quit halfway through. When you start with easy books and you can sort of just work your way up to these more difficult books, it's just so much more productive if you want to get more reading done. If I just jumped right into a super long book after not reading for a while, it's sort of the equivalent of me going to the gym for the first time and just saying, I'm going to bench 500 pounds. It doesn't really work like that. We need to sort of work you up, start with something short, just reacclimate to it, get used to it. And then if you want to read longer books, if you have, literature books in mind that you're interested in that are super long, like whatever, the Count of Monte Cristo, like 1100 pages, you can sort of work your way up to those. But if you start with books like those, it's going to be very easy for you to quit. So now, just to go over what we've talked about, if you want to get back into reading after a while, or just get into reading period, there are 4 tips that can make the process easier for you. First thing, only read books you enjoy. Second, find little blocks of time in your day that you can block out and read instead of doing useless stuff like scrolling on your phone. Third, only read one book at a time to make the process less intimidating. And fourth, start with short books so you're more likely to finish them. And remember, literally nobody cares what books you've read except for you. So read what you like. No one's going to judge you on the books you read. Just go in, enjoy yourself, have some fun, and go learn some stuff. Good luck in your reading. I believe in you guys. I'll see you later.